Yo! Happy Friday, everybody. Hope you're all doing well out there. Looks like I sat down in my seat right after Green Hollow Music Sub. Thank you so much, homie, and it's great to see you. It's been a minute. How are you? Saffron, you are first. Welcome in, homie. Far Horizon is here. How are you, man? A lot of good folks coming out this morning already, huh? Imbue Music, how you doing? This is great to hear. This is some weird soup I cooked up this morning. I'll show you what it is in a bit. Yo, Will is here. Everybody follow Zev Music. He's making awesomeness. That one kid, welcome in. Ooh, Imbue Music finally found a current hip-hop artist he likes. Who is it? Who is it? Slow Tie. All right. Quirky is here. What's up, Quirk? Far Horizon, you did hear me. I said something into the mic as I sat down. It wasn't just your head. It was subliminal. Far Horizon, you have to leave in 12 minutes to pick up your sister. Do you have something in the queue currently? Really quick, what is this? This is an instance of a simple beat out of XO running into some Shaper Box and Portal to hype it up a bit. And then we've got the old birds, something birds, origin of birds. Then tweaked to a little G major scale this morning. And of course some Euclidean melody stuff, which is actually a little rhythmy. And that's that. So if you're wanting to cook it at home, that's how you do it. Hey! Far Horizon is in the queue first, so he doesn't even need to skip. Let's do this. Not those. This. And perhaps this. Those are the things I need. Oh, and we should turn off this. It's Feedback Friday, you guys. And we will have a new format to Feedback Friday coming to you in just a few weeks. And it's going to require a little bit of participation from y'all. Not that you aren't participating enough as it is. But I want you to think about what are the things that actually challenge you in production? What are the things that you don't truly understand? You're going to have to be like genuine and vulnerable about this. Ask some questions, right? But I think we've figured out a good way to kind of bring together the two major camps that are always kind of swimming around the community. One is those who are learning the basics still, getting their feet under them. And then there are those that have been doing it for some time and are here for the ninja maneuvers and random pontifications about various processes and stuff. So I want you guys to think about really serious questions you have. And it could be simple, like, what the heck actually is a flanger? And how do I use it in a way that's really cool? Or it could be, how do I know exactly what type of compressor to choose for all of these different situations? Or it can be anything, right? Think about it. Mixing, mastering, synthesis, sound design, psychoacoustics, psychology of sound, getting your stuff out there. It can be anything. It'd be great if it was a little bit more geared toward production so everyone can benefit regardless of what the actual topic ends up being. But I want you guys to think about this. We're going to create a channel on the Discord so we can put ideas out there and then y'all can upvote them to give them a higher priority in our planning process. But we're going to welcome our good friend Iggy, Tom, onto the show on Fridays, and we're going to answer and provide examples and comparisons. We're going to struggle through the stuff with you guys and help you figure it all out and make your stuff even better. So that's coming. I want you guys to think about really good questions, help us formulate some really kick-ass conversations. It's going to be great. Oh, never mind. You guys, change of plans. Green Hollow Music just pointed out that we could just put OTT on every channel. And then it sounds like gold. So I guess we don't even really have to do this. Okay, so we're going to jump in and we're going to listen to Far Horizon first. Excellent. All right, so Far Horizon says, kept working on this one, tried to get the instruments in their own little pocket to be all cuddly and cute. Excellent. Sounds good. Recluse Sound is here. Dude, how you doing? Happy Friday, homie. Dude, Far Horizon, this is so good. um, Find a cough drop here. Full disclosure, I was like brutally ill yesterday and totally fine today. So I'm like sucking on some cough drops here so I don't lose my voice. So I think the attack on the base is a bit abrupt, and the release, actually, to be fair. And I think that if you were to soften those just slightly, um, that they'd be a little bit more aligned with the kind of gentle nature of the rest of the stuff happening there in the mix. And I also think that it doesn't necessarily need to be a static position for the attack. I think the release should be a static position, but the attack could drift a little bit if you want to put a little slow modulation on there to get some notes a little bit more pointed than others. But I think it's just a little bit abrupt how it is right now. 141, the Aries synth stab has a bit of a thumpiness to it with the low end, so I would back off of that. Kind of lean into the high end, or if it's two different synths being layered, I would just bring down the lower one, and also maybe bring up the low end cut on that particular synth, so it's not messing with the sub. It's got a fair bit of frequency down there. At 210, the tiny little lead pluck there, a tiny little wiggle or drift in the pitch, I think would be awesome in the delivery. And then there's a one layered perk element that kind of stands out as being a bit more crunchy and worthy of attention. The rest, I would give that guy periodic reverb or delay sprays just to get a little bit more of that crunchy, bright particulate matter up into the atmosphere there. Really digging the dynamic range that you're giving to the mix as a whole. I think it's nice to have the distance between everything. I think that as a group of elements in the mix, the percussive, the drum stuff can all be squished just a little bit. So you can get just a little bit more of the texture up to the surface. And that's it. I think this thing's really beautiful, and I think your composition, the arrangement, the sound palette that you're working with is great. Really good stuff. Yeah, I think that's a really good choice. For our Horizons asking, hey, what about keeping the attack more abrupt on the second half to better complement the drums? And yes, I think that's better. Once the mix begins to get a bit more complex and intricate, and there's a lot of more quickly articulating elements, then yeah, everything needs to kind of keep pace with that. Didn't dare touch the compression too much. People are liking this one. Roku's here. How you doing, man? Quirky's really digging this bass. Recluse Sounds, loving this. Zev is loving it. Green Hollow's loving it. Man, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Man, a lot of good people in the chat this morning already. It's like we got the band back together. No worries at all, Far. I will see you on the flip. Green Hollow, you are up next. Hey, what should we call the channel on the Discord where we're going to post our live stream questions and topic ideas for the new Feedback Friday format? By the way, the concept here is that we won't be interrupting the feedback with all of this. This will be added on to the beginning of the show, so it'll probably start just a little bit earlier than normal. And the first segment will just be diving into the stuff that you guys need us to dive into most, right? And just demystify and get rid of a lot of misunderstandings, misconceptions about different tools or processes. What should we call this? Hey now, Javar's here. How you doing, man? Oh man. Oh no. Rokusai. Rokusai. Tell me you had a backup of your backup. And if not, how can I help? That's exactly what I'm talking about, Javar. There's a new format coming for Feedback Fridays. We're going to make a channel in the Discord where you guys can post your topics of interest and questions, your big burning questions, and then other people can upvote those, and we can kind of help prioritize the upcoming stream content accordingly, so we can dive into all the stuff that you guys really want to, in hopes that we can kind of bridge the divide between the folks in the community that are just kind of getting started and want to know the basic stuff, and those that have been producing for a lot of years and have a deep desire for, deeper understanding, more intentional control, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I want to know what to call this channel. So let's think of a good name today while we're listening to all this music, of like what to call this channel that all these suggestions are going into. Ah, good, Roku, my man. Always have backups of your backups, and have a clone handy too. I totally agree with Roku about the triple thing. Ugh, it's still a hassle though. All right, Green Hollow. This one's called Ether.
I didn't have to say I love you.
Yeah, really quick, Danny. Yes, video is a huge lift, and I don't just mean like it's a lot of work, but it does. It takes up a lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of stuff. It really is. It's a totally different game when you start to involve moving visuals. Truly. Hey, Masters by Iggy. is in the house. Tom is here. Happy birthday, Tom. Javar has been doing some basic video. All right, Green Hollow. I would say general ambience level can come down a few. I think that its peak level is where it's at right now, and that there are different points in which you could kind of swell up to this level, and it would have a great amount of emotional impact on the listener. And you should totally capitalize on that. At 131, that little air burst could be softened a little bit in the attack, and perhaps a creamy little filter down as it resolves. At 240, a little more movement in the mix in this whole section I think would feel really nice. Doesn't necessarily have to be like a pumping vibe at all, but something just kind of subtly twisting and turning. Help us follow the leader a little longer. Back to VHS, only takes physical space. Green Hollow, I think this is solid. It's really good. It's a nice vibe. I like the atmosphere. It's got a really good pace. Your palette is awesome, of course. Been doing really good stuff, man. Really good to hear you again. How can you put OTT on 80 millimeter film? Yeah. Oh man, that's a good question. You could bring that up in one of the Friday streams. Yeah, the Volca was a solid fit. Yeah, that's good. It's good. I don't want you to change much on this one. If OTT exists, it will end up on 80 millimeter somehow. Fact. It's just true. It's just true. Hey, Will is here. Everybody say hi to Will. All right. Mr. Zev says something I started a few days ago. Still missing some transition elements, but about 80% of the way there. Open to any feedback. ID. Respect the gazelle. That was good. That was a really nice build. All right. Dude, this is freaking fantastic. Um, I know I've already commented on it a few times recently, but your use of drones in music is getting so good. It's really nice to hear. Wanting to hear a little bit more texture on the bass. I think it's awesome, and I really like the bass line. By the way, multiband saturation and then multiband compression to finish. And I would really accentuate those mid bands, the low mids for like the girth, and the mids and mid highs for added little edgy texture. Um, yeah, just a little bit more about the drones. I think really, trusting in the detuning and morphing nature of a droning sound like this, a really like hypnotic, captivating pad, is brilliant because it allows you to keep the rest of the arrangement simple and it gives you room. And to do it with such a big sound that runs across the entire mid range of uh, the frequency of sound allows you to um, allow all of the rest of your arrangement to be very supportive, and that can only really lead to good things, right? Gives you so many opportunities for emotional impact. So, really great transition out of that breakdown at 510. Really good. And just overall, I think there's some room for some swelling, surging, saturation, run in slow modulation rate on just a few elements. Not random. I would say I would put this in into automation and twist knobs rather than click with your mouse if you can, just to make it even more organic. But I would make the surges and swells really intentional in this one, and make it more for like the dramatic accenting or emotional impact. And then at 649, um, really love, really love the euphoric feels in this moment. Really kind of captivating on a different level. I think maybe just because we've been several minutes into this now and everything is like fully um, being realized, right? We're kind of on the other side of the arc here. Um, so room for a couple things. One of the elements in that really long build, if in the final couple of seconds there's a little tremolo that gets introduced and increases in rate and depth right before that change, I think it would feel really good. And then if there was a small amount of movement in the tail on that thing and to stretch out the decay several more bars, just so it really feels like that's huge. You know what I mean? Like that moment is huge, the space is huge, the everything's taken a moment to come back down. Where is Nat? Who's Nat? Hold on a second. That's Nate. Oh yeah. I don't know. I was supposed to have a session with Nat yesterday, and I could not because I didn't even have a voice really. Yeah, pads and bass. Well, I think that's what I'd focus on. Okay, everybody's liking this one. Roku says, love the track. Stellar progression really keeps the tension going. In terms of the mix, spend some time getting the low end, the kick, and the bass balance a little tighter. Perhaps transient shaping can get it to sit a bit better, and shelf the bass perhaps. Only minor touches, nothing drastic. It will give the club limiters a bit more space to rest since those woofers have to have the time to breathe. Yeah. Good question about putting the saturation directly on the instrument or a bus. I would probably put it directly on the instrument in both of these cases. The reason being that they're kind of the main players of the mix, and when you do swell them, it's going to be a very intentional time, so there isn't going to be a whole lot of other things happening in the mix at that particular time. And it should kind of push it over the top of anything else that would be reactive. So I think direct in series. That was great. That was great. Let's listen to the next one from Recluse. And it has been a minute. Will, that was so good. All right. Disheartened. Work in progress.
Man, I don't even want to do this shit right now. Hold up, I know that we haven't met yet. I've been pretty lost lately, I don't know who I'ma get backtrack to the old days when the kids were still my backpack. Used to have a spark back then that was ransacked. Wish I could rewrite the story again. Wish I could go back and make some more friends, but I can promise you this ain't the end. Used to be so full of hope and desire to be someone that could be truly admired. Relight the spark that was once in my heart, and I'll watch it go up like a funeral pyre. I know this is not meant to inspire. This is to let you all know that I'm tired. No, this is not meant to inspire. This is to let you all know that I'm tired. To inspire. This is to let you all know that I'm tired. No, this is not meant to inspire. No, this is not meant to inspire. No, this is not meant to inspire. This is to let you all know that I'm tired. Hold up. Bang. Hold up, I know that we haven't met yet. I've been pretty lost lately, I don't know who I'ma get backtrack to the old days when the kids were still my backpack. Used to have a spark back then that was ransacked. Wish I could rewrite the story again. Wish I could go back and make some more friends, but I can promise you this ain't the end. Used to be so full of hope and desire to be someone that could be truly admired. Relight the spark that was once in my heart, and I'll watch it go up like a funeral pyre. I know this is not meant to inspire. This is to let you all know that I'm tired. Tired of searching for something that's missing. I'm filling you in as the moments transpire. Look, I don't really have a lot of hope left. Hope I can find my way out of this mess and then learn how to love myself through all the stress.
Sorry that you feel that way, like I care, like I'm here to bring you down. Like the air that I'm breathing will be around. I'm sorry, did you feel that? I'm sorry that you feel that way. I'm sorry that you feel that way. Sorry
All right, Recluse, this is fantastic. At 30 seconds, I'm wanting that that filtered vocal to have just a touch more mid presence. Really, really nice sound overall. I do feel like there's a slight balance thing here between the mids and the highs. I think that you're exercising a lot of control over how the low end is being delivered. And the highs have been fairly crafted. The middles feel just slightly lacking in a few different elements in the mix. Where it's for effect, it feels really good, and then in the other moments, it leaves us kind of unsure of whether or not there should be more power in the mix there or not. So maybe just a little bit of multi-band compression could help with that, because it is kind of across the track. There are some moments in this track, seriously. 155 being one of them. Just like, gosh, man, this is just great. The vocals are fantastic, by the way, and really enjoying how you decided to go about your accenting. My only thing with this is just a bit more love in the mids in a few different spots. That's really good. It's really good. And by love in the mid, I just mean a little bit more power coming through, more presence and power in a few spots. This is good. It's really good. Don't change much in this one. You guys, we are like, what? It's 1, 2, 3. Look at what we started with. Far Horizon, Green Hollow, Zev, Recluse. Man, sheesh. That's really good stuff. Roku says, dial back the top end of the stabs and give it saturation. Make them feel dirty. They deserve it. Oh, Debbie Cakes. You said Will recommended this channel. I thought you said Will recommend this channel. Will's an awesome human, so I always trust his recommendations. And welcome in, by the way. Hi, Quirky. You're up. This one's called Nexus. Let's see what you made. Hope you've been well, by the way. Happy Friday. Let's roll. You're not going to break the rope. I have faith in you, homie. Let's do this. Quirk, dude. Yeah, it's really good to hear you mess around with some piano. Um, the atmosphere coming from the vinyl is nice. You've got so much clarity in the filtered vocals. Um, yeah, you're just really continuing to push the funk boundaries, and I appreciate it. The intro is really great though. Like you built some stuff there. I would definitely suggest saving all of the presets you can in this project. Like go into your EQ and save the EQ curve on your bass and vocal track and filters and your distortion plugins. Like go in and save as many presets as you can. And the next time you get into a sticky spot with one of your tracks and something that isn't sounding quite right, audition one of them. Um, on an equatable sound in that mix and see if you can learn anything about what you were doing here versus what you're doing in that moment where you're struggling a little bit more with clarity. At 142, the low end is a little bloated there. You can kind of hear it. It hits this, it kind of bottoms out at a couple of points. And you get a little kind of almost scraping sound in there. Make sure your low end cutoff is set around 40 hertz or so on this one, 12 dB per octave curve, so you'll still get plenty of rumble. At 213, that creamy filter point on the clap is just downright dreamy. It's awesome. It's awesome to hear you play with the filters in the different ways in this one. Yeah, it's also really nice to have the piano in there. Really good. Another level up. Mixing wise, I take the bass down 2 dB pre-master so it doesn't become too dominant. It's good. It's good stuff. Hope you're surviving all right over there. Your music is sounding good. Chakra. Let's do this. What just happened to the track I was tuning into? All right, let's run through this. This is fantastic. It's like highly emotive. Really like it. I like the uh, dissonant, unsettling nature of it. Um, I think that there's like three things that you could do to this to like really, really transform it. Um, One, back off of the compression limiting stuff a bit to bring the lufts down. So things can be sitting just a little bit more naturally. The ambience in general can all come down. So you can just like, you can just trim that several dB. But then I would also go in and take a look at the volume changes there and make them um, more gradual. There are a couple of points where the ambience comes down after you've left something, or it comes down after you've gone into a new section. I would tighten those up a little bit so it's kind of flowing. It doesn't feel like there's actually an adjustment being made, more that we've just transitioned into a different thing. Um, so quicker to resolve the rain presence at 56. At 1 minute, the the highs are bright, and you can tame with a responsive EQ. But I do believe that the whole thing can be tilted just a bit down from the highs in general. Usually, usually, if you're wanting to create a fairly tenuous type of track like this, that you want to have a full spectrum of frequency um, presence, you save those higher bits for the organic and slightly triggering sounds, where the bids and the lows is where the majority of the character and um, unsettling moodiness is actually emanating from. So you don't want the ambience to become too dominant. You want it to provide a backdrop, right? Now, if it does come up beyond it, like natural levels, right? Um, you want it to be because it's actually accenting a specific moment, right? So you have control over what that loudness is actually doing for you in the mix. So a way to help kind of balance all of this is to incorporate more organic sounds to create a more immersive soundscape or mood. And the way that you do it is you bring in just a few little things, right? It could be footsteps, right? It could be like a little howl in the background. It could be chains. It could be drips. It could be any kind of thing that you want to help kind of create some more true to life, or um, you know, an immersive moment where people can kind of imprint themselves upon it, right? And certain things like moisture, like dampness, goes very well with darkness, right? And so does shadowy stuff, right? So like lurking type sounds, menacing type sounds that kind of creep up in the mix or something like that. Little chains or metallic things that kind of jingle jangle and you don't know where they're coming from. That's obviously going to be kind of unsettling. So anything that can be incorporated at a more minimal level is going to help you figure out where the balance should be for your general soundscape. Your music sits on top of it, and just remember that the soundscape is this thing that everything is dwelling in. It doesn't need to be pushed to the same kind of loudness um, standards as the music elements, and that should help you kind of find greater balance there, I think. At 240, and this happens a couple of times because you got a couple of big peaks here, but the synth stuff is a little aggressive and dominant, but also driven a bit too much in the mid highs, which is where it starts to become a little bit out of whack with the immersive, freaky kind of thing that you're asking of your audience to buy into. Ambience again at 313, good moment to check levels. Um, yeah, that's it. It's a really good palette. I'd pick like maybe 5 to 7 organic sounds that you can kind of sprinkle in there somehow. And by organic sounds, I mean just sounds that you're not synthesizing, things that you might be mangling in some way or warping in some way, but something that people can um, connect with in a soundscape really quickly. Yeah, it's good. I like it. I like the cinematic appeal of it. Hypopharia. Rolling Paper. Good name. I like this. French chord.
Friday evening and this me a pray for pass with the blunt and the rolling paper.
It's a great name for a track.
I've been working all day and I this me a wait for pass with the blunt and the rolling paper. Me a go get high like a bird, high like a skyscraper. Me tell you this, Friday evening and this me a pray for pass with the blunt and the rolling paper. Me a go get high like a plane, high like a skyscraper. Working all day and I 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 this me a wait for pass me the blunt and the rolling paper.
You are the game now, so low end can kick more ass.
Okay. Hypopharia, this is awesome. Like, it's a cool mashup, and it goes really hard in some spots. I think the thing that's going to be holding this one back the most as it sits right now is the jarring juxtaposition of loudness that you're holding these two very different genres to. So finding a greater balance in those two things, maybe a little bit of transitional support there, but I think the majority of the peaceful coexistence is going to come in compromise. You're going to have the synthetic side of the mix compromise to a greater degree than the reggae and dub stuff will. But there doesn't need to be as much shock and awe in regards to loudness as there is right now. The shock and awe is already there for you in the instrumentation, in the palette that you're using to construct your composition. So I would say lean into that and trust the jarring nature of these different genres being put together, right? And then think about, the mindset of what draws us in to reggae and dub, right? And then how you can kind of better align the character profile, the EQ of both of your big synths, your pads and your leads in those harder sections. Now you can go back and you can take um, a little inspiration from other bands that have done this, right? Sublime is a really good example of taking a whole new angle on genres that were traditionally quite a bit more chill. But there's a lot of other bands out there that can do it. But the reason why I bring them up is because their ability to maintain control over things like level wise and emotionally as things shift is pretty profound when you stop and really tune into what they're doing. There needs to be a little bit more give on the synthetic side of things. It's hard to hear the transition coming at 144, and at 150 the vocals are buried, and these are two little spots that are going to be kind of pivotal for you when you can figure out how to bring the synth stuff down to a point where you still like it and it's still hitting hard, but it's giving enough room to the rest of this other stuff, the reggae and dub stuff. And part of that is going to be scooping out some stuff out of the mids and not allowing it to just dominate the full spectrum as it is. So more use of filters probably, but a heavier hand with the volume automation for sure. Bring the LUFs down in general, but let them peak around neg 13 or so for the really hard stuff, so the volume does come back, right? And you've got a really solid backbone for it. But let the dub stuff chill out around neg 16, about where the streaming services are going to cap you anyway. There's going to be a noticeable jump between neg 16 and neg 30. It's a noticeable jump. So you can still have a pretty jarring, energetic effect. It's got to do some EQ and filter work on some of the electronic stuff, I think. Trem says, back when I was a techno kid, the kicks didn't go broof, broof, broof. They went donk, donk, donk. Oh, that was great. Joe, what's up? How you doing? This does feel like an album as you're listening to it. This is hilarious. Oh my goodness. Where is this? There we go. We're going to put this up for. Hey, remember, I can put up a poll if it will help at some point during the stream today, but looking for a good name for a new channel in the Discord where you guys are all going to put your ideas and your questions for our new format for Feedback Fridays coming soon. Going to happen in a few weeks. I want a really good name for this channel, like stream questions or yeah, Andromia, there's going to be a little format change. As I type in the next name here, I'm going to run through it. There's going to be a slightly earlier start to Feedback Fridays starting soon. And this is so we can incorporate a new guest. Tom is going to be joining the stream on Fridays. We're going to start a little earlier. We're going to dig into specific mixing, mastering, sound design, production questions, issues, problems, tools. We want to demystify some things, right? There are plenty of people that are just starting out and they're afraid to ask simple questions, which is never fair or right, right? And there are plenty of advanced folks here that have been making music for a long time, and they're embarrassed, maybe even ashamed to ask a simple question like, what is flange actually? And how do I use it now? But anyway, we want to get really into one simple topic at the top of each one of these Feedback Fridays. Those who are interested can tune in early and get a little masterclass deep dive into specific processes and examples and comparisons so you can start to really correlate some information in your minds and start transforming your tracks, right? This can be about anything. It doesn't have to be about a simple plug-in process. It can be complex. So we want you guys to start putting in this new channel that we're going to put into the Discord, your biggest questions, your biggest hangups, your biggest challenges with music. It's going to be different for different people, but all of this stuff is applicable to all of us, right? When we really tune in and listen, there's a ton to learn. And we're going to start incorporating a bit more of that on Fridays. I know that I've brought some training back, and there's been a huge outpouring of demand for it. I can't fill all of those requests. Some people are still getting turned away for training. I want to make sure that we get some really good quality stuff out there for you guys. So once a week, we're going to do an extra deep dive on some stuff. It is a great idea, isn't it? I think that we just need to figure out the name for this channel, and we're going to ask you guys questions in this channel. You guys are going to post your ideas and questions that you want to be selected as themes for these streams. And then everyone in the community is free to upvote those however they like, right? So the more people that are interested in it, it could be prioritized a bit above the other stuff. But we're going to try and get to all sorts of really good stuff that's going to help everybody. So, all right, Joe's up next. This one's called Stand Up.
Oh, you got to stand up.
All right. Really good, Joe. It's solid, and I think that the stuff that you bring through in general really is. I think that there's a couple of nitpicky things here, and then there's just kind of this overall thing. Um, 106, more room for some more dynamic growth in that whole section of that intro. I think we could have the biggest valley floor moment in the mix over here between these two really nice peaks, and it can be your intro. You can have this moment where everything just kind of gets way down there, right? It's a little early for something like that to be happening in the mix, but hey, why not? You've already kind of cooked all of this. You just kind of need to carve it, I think. At 209, this new horn synth that's being introduced can be more audible. So bring down the pad and at least one other element to make room for that. So I think what I'm getting at here right now is more dramatic, more sweeping, more curvaceous changes and things that are happening with a bit more convex or concave shape to them, less linear change over time. I think that as things decay, the linear thing is fine, but as they ramp up into existence, more dramatic in the song would be better. Pluck is loud at 240. At 247, the hats seem to be sitting in balance here, but there were moments prior to this where I was thinking the hats were a few dB loud. So you might need to ride some volume automation to help keep things balanced as the mix changes over time. And it's good to have a great deal of change over time with a track that's got some places it can go, right? I mean, it's a 4 on the floor track, but it's got a lot of stuff going on in here. So here's the overarching thing. Still wanting to hear just a little bit more you and a little less this is what came before me. So in other words, it's wholly apparent that you understand the genre and the structure of it as it has stood before you, but am I incorrect in kind of feeling or guessing that you actually have quite a bit more to say here? Like, are there times where you're about to do something or you have done something and then you're just like Control Z, filter down, bring that down in volume? Like, does that sound correct? Because to me, it sounds like you could push this genre in a few different new directions if you really wanted to. And it would make you stand out. You have enough elements and enough traditional concepts in your arrangement to make this work in any club. So I would really encourage you to take just 3 or 4 more steps out towards the edge in some of these moments and make more Gosh, I'm not sure. Not dramatic, not emotional, more commanding changes, and help us understand where we all really need to go in a track like this, you know? Okay, so a good example of this could be just as simple as taking a simple filter sweep over 2 bars and making that thing move in weird and unexpected ways, maybe even stutter it 2 times to like a full stop and then come back to normal, like nothing ever happened. You know what I mean? Just tiny little embellishments like that that would stand out as quite bold in the mix, but are actually really kind of simple concepts, right? All right, anyway, totally correct. Okay, so you do have more. I want to hear that more. That's what I'd like. Let's see what everybody else is saying. Level 100 gaslight. Yeah, absolutely. We hope that you bring in whips. Lou D is here. How are you, sir? A bald mix. Wait, someone's saying bold. Okay, Roku's saying bold. This track needs a bold mix. Step out of the safety balance mix and make some bold decisions here. That's where you will find your own personality. The track is already hinting at this, so dive into. Okay, so I'm not the only one hearing this, and I'm glad that the feedback is vibing with you because I believe that's exactly what needs to happen. So, really great overall. I think what do we point out? Like 3 things technically that you could attend to, but seriously, just go make this even more your own. That's what I would do. Remix it. Challenge yourself with a remix, and those things that you come up with in the remix, there's probably going to be 3 or 4 of them that you're like, those are sticky, those are going in. Give us 3 or 4 more sticky things. Yeah, what Roku said. What Roku said. All right, Andromia. It's a bit different, he says. I like that. If you guys have been here for the last few Feedback Fridays, you're realizing that Andromia has taken a left turn. It's a cool kind of darker element to some stuff here. It's cool. I like it. few months ago, Andremia never would have had that moment right there with just that. Andremia, check out the chat right now, dude. Wow, type beat, I love it. Tis the season. Ah, that's good stuff right there. Yo. Yeah, Andromeda, I remember saying that type of thing many years ago. I don't know, just making Halloween music, but I could be convinced to keep going in this direction. And then, decades later, here we are. Andromeda, one of the reasons why I keep coming back full circle to the point of like feeling like you should have your own just 24/7 streaming or the ability to listen to you all the time nonstop on YouTube is because you I don't know that you could really take your stuff all just to one label and have it actually fit like all of like check all the right boxes for them. You know what I'm saying? Like this right here, this is like some people that listen to the more dreamy ambient stuff would probably be into it, but this is like some man, this hit everyone in the chat. Everyone is like, oh, what if this is Trent and the Andremia thing is just a rebrand? Yes, Nano. I don't know, man. I guess what I'm saying here is that you're painting whole stories here in a track like this. And in some of your other stuff, you're simply just like providing support for a scene. You know what I mean? There's like a pretty difference, a pretty big difference here. This one could absolutely be picked up by, oh shoot, what's the dark ambient label out of Portland? That's a Cryo Chamber, right? Like this one could probably even be picked up by someone like Cryo Chamber. If you were to remix this just slightly, a little bit more like atmospheric, immersive, it would probably be picked up right away. Man, dude, the good stuff. Roku says, was it Andremia who killed my hard drive yesterday? Quantum entanglement. That'd be funny. He actually writes a hit a day, but someone's hard drive has to pay the price. Weird little cosmic twist. Samsung is here. And Dremia, I don't actually want you to change things in this. Chattin', hello. Happy Friday to you. Quantum vibrational resonance. There you go. That sounds like it. All right, so Samsung over the past few weeks has taken a turn, and I'm so unsure what we're about to get here right now. Last week I was pretty sure we were going to get something jazzy, and then something totally different happened. This one's called Cool Beans. I'm going to click it. I am. It's going to rock. Everybody just get ready for an attitude adjustment. Here we go. Cool Beans.
Motherfucking big fat bitch.
They only know how to forge things and then sit atop their boards like Dracula's. The key to motivation is to relinquish all need for motivation. Do the cool stuff just because. Do it out of second nature. Do it just because that's the sort of creature you want to be.
I want to be like Samsung. Oh, the hanging bit crush at the end. Oh. Oh. So, Samsung. Tell us what it's really all about. You're man, you've got ideas for days, but you just like these fall out of you, right? Like how long did it take you to make this? And this is 3 minutes, 4 seconds. This is so much of my Samsung dream realized here. Ah. You don't play no shit. Oh, maybe like 2-ish weeks. This is fantastic. It's so much fun. Um, I'm assuming that, like, as you're working on this, it's making you move and bop, and these things get stuck in your head. Walk through the room songs just fall out. Of course, yeah. Yeah, I was thinking that you've probably haunted your own self for quite some time now. So, man, I got questions. Like, are you starting with these dialogue samples that you've been integrating, incorporating? Are you finding them and they're inspiring you and you're like, oh, I got to find a way to use this? Or are you halfway through and you're like, oh man, I need to find a sample like this? I just got questions. I got questions because everything sounds so flippin' organic on the outside of it. You know what I mean? Don't change stuff. Just keep making more. Halfway through. Halfway through. That makes sense. And then they come out. Got it. So it takes a couple weeks. Okay. Well, that makes you seem a little bit more human, at least. Yo. Cayenne. It's got something here called Alien Rave Mix. Let's listen to this thing. Look at this poor cow. Or maybe this cow's having a great time.
Rave dance party. We're abducting your cows.
That's rock the walk, still popping shots, be whipping coke, yo, pasta pop. They said I fell off all night as hotlines at my shows, be around the block. Fuck a chopper, let's pop a bottle. My wife a gangster, not just a model. I'm a beast, nigga, it's hard to follow. At peace, nigga, eat this hollow. Been some places, I'll be some cases. Donkey KO, I see they faces. Run the play up, I see the matrix. These numbers, nigga, this shit is basic. Invest the keys, make 7 G's on a recipe and make ecstasy. Talking person, no text me. You know Chaz gotta stay next to me.
Legalize Alien today.
I go hard in the motherfucking paint, nigga. Stankin', nigga, what the fuck you thinking, nigga? I won't die for this shit, or what the fuck I said? Front yard, broad day with the S. Gucci, that's my motherfucking nigga. I hang in the crowd with the head squad killers. Walk a fucking flame on the hood ass nigga. Riding real slow, Billy Corners, my nigga. Got a main bitch, got a mistress. A couple of girlfriends, I'm so rich. Keep my dick hard and keep me smoking. You can just free shouting, no joking. That's what I stand for. Bridgewater. I'ma die for this shouter, man, I swear to God.
Real alien rave shit.
Yo, this is wild and all over the place and really cool, Cayenne. It's got like what, like 6 different genres coming together or something. It was really something and totally unique in how you made it all happen. Like, how do you keep the bells going the whole time and actually have it fit and it works? Here's the thing, though. We got to wrangle in some of the elements a little bit tighter, right? EQ them just a little bit tighter, take a little bit more highs and lows away from them, or maybe scoop just a little bit out of the middle for some of them, just to kind of tighten them up, and then bring the LUFS down. Right now, it's a little bit too loud. So your limiter at the end of your chain, just back off that thing, and bring the kick down too by like maybe 5 dB. And then listen to this whole thing again and bring the low end cutoff up to 45 hertz, 12 dB per octave curve. So that'll look like this. It's a gentle thing. Right now, it sounds like yours is probably more something like this. And it doesn't need to be. It can be more like this. So you can see what that looks like opened up. What else do I have for you here? That's it, really. That's good. That's good. Easy fixes. Man, this is all over the place. How do you you just mashing stuff together as you find it and you're like, oh man, I can make this work like that? Or are you thinking to yourself, I've got a vision. This is what it's going to sound like. Just be doing shit. Yeah, man. It's got a like a natural kind of organically come together kind of feel to it. It's got a good thing. Bring down the LUFS and keep being really original. That's what I say. JJ, and bring back more too. Back more next week. See what you cook up. Julian, let's do this one. Hey now. Yo, Julian is absolutely fantastic. Got a couple of like nitpicky things here for you. If you bring down the LUFS in general, like if you don't push the loudness quite as much, and you leave the more atmospheric elements down just a little bit, the stuff that is in a lead position will stand out just a little bit more in the mix. You'll have even more dynamic range in here, which is going to give more goosebumps. It's tough when you're building really, 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 really good stuff and you get to a couple of these peaks and you're thinking to yourself, oh man, like when people are watching on TV or something, right, nowadays, which is like how most everyone watches all their stuff, right? Everyone's got their auto compression turned on, right? Because you can't hear like a traditional mix anymore, right? On people's systems, like everything's been pushed to this place. So now when you get like a fairly decent sub hit in the middle of a mix that's like incredibly like passionately emotional, all of a sudden that hit comes and no one actually feels the full impact of it. Like the whole mix just gets kind of quiet for a second. You guys experienced this yet? When you make something awesome and then you're listening to it on someone's system and you're like, what just happened? And then you realize that this is probably how most people are actually like ingesting all of their media these days. This is so good. Um, yeah, and Roku's talking about this as well. As a colleague composer, don't forget the natural balance and power of a modern orchestra seating chart. Sticking to original panning can be sometimes your strength instead of going for something strange or funky. Make the notes work first before sending them through the room panning wise, especially with your brasses, I noticed. Fan them out traditionally and you will regain the clarity on the support roll. Yeah, that's true. And it's little things like that that will keep you from feeling like you need to push this to make it more impressive or more full. Because when things get out of their own way or out of other things' way, everything becomes fuller anyway. We already know all of this. So, yeah, I side with Roku on this one as well. So a good example of what I'm talking about in regards to, building this kind of like ambience or atmosphere around something, the aesthetic, we will call it, versus maintaining focus on the instruments in play. A good example at 322 would be the flute needs to lead when it's active, right? And when it's not, it's okay for the vocal to slip back up there. But for them to be in direct competition at the same time feels a little strange. And it also starts to feel like the instrument and the vocal are both kind of being pushed in this competitive mixing, right? So instead, if everything comes back just a little bit and you use some more volume automation, you can get these things to kind of twist and turn serpentine, like a dance, right? So a little bit more call and response, a little bit more attention to those tiny little things. And all of a sudden now you're talking about something that's like basically making people cry in the chat as it is right now, to something that people would really look forward to hearing every single time they watch this scene in the movie. And it's in their playlist because the soundtrack cannot leave their side. These tiny little things that just let everything kind of ring out. So obviously nitpicky, but also it's these tiny little finishing things, these nuances that really kind of push something over. And it's tough too when you're living in a world of competitive loudness and you're building such like true and intimate beauty too. So find a couple of valley spots that can be a little bit lower to increase your dynamic range. Back off the limiting just a bit, the compression just a bit, so your instruments don't feel forced or pushed in any way. Like Roku's saying, recognize the natural position of things in the traditional way of arranging or of mixing all of this, because it's worked for a very long time. A lot of stuff been figured out. And then once you're there, once everything is being heard perfectly, start to make some maneuvers that are really yours, and it's good stuff. The only other thing I'd mention is just watch the low end rumble, bring the low end cutoff for the entire track up to 50 hertz, 12 dB per octave, so you don't have this problem of something that isn't audible triggering compression. Let's see. That's exactly it, Introvia. That's exactly it. It's because of like these Michael Bay mixes, right? Where it's like something critical is about to happen. Possibly the end of the world will happen at, and then you don't hear anything for like a whole minute. Well, all of the meters are stuck on max, and compression has pushed everything down to nothing. People turn up their volume, and then an explosion happens, and they're blown out of the water. Drumtie says, I saw a video of a guy saying that if you're mixing on headphones, take off your headphones, put it on a table, turn up the volume so you hear the song completely stripped down. Yeah, tiny speakers, like imperfect systems, it's good. It's good to listen to things at low volumes and in ways that you might not normally, because, you know, most people don't exist in a perfect listening environment. Oh man. Yeah, it's tough, tram ties for the metal for sure. Julian, this is fantastic. I hope you bring by lots more. This is just absolutely great. Everything about it. So good. So full of so many good things. So good. Hey, Michael's here. Liquid Phase in the chat. Happy Friday, homie. How you doing? Rokusai says, I hate sub bombs and white noise sweeps, right? Crutches, man. All right. Rockhound is here. Lou D in the mix. Old school vibes. Love Struck remake. Love the subtle filter play.
I need to.
Man, this kick is really grabbing, isn't it? It speaks. Okay. Nicholas, I think this is good. I think the kick, I kind of wanted to change just a little bit over time, just like a subtle evolution kind of a thing. So maybe if it just had a little saturation on it that just kind of peaked up just a little bit in a couple of spots here and there. It can be on a really slow moving modulation. At 140, I was like questioning it when it first came in. By the time I'm listening to it for 6 minutes, it feels right. When it first came in, I wasn't sure. So perhaps just filter it as its intro and let it come out fully revealed for that first vocal sample, because it's that really short little bow, ow, ow kind of vocal sample. It might be a cool little play there. Really fantastic energy. Subtle embellishments around the claps would be really satisfying. They're kind of tucked back in the mix, so just really subtle, like periodic reversals or extra crunch on one. Maybe you could even do like a little echo on one every once in a while. Just subtle, tiny little twists. They're pushed so far back that it would just be something for people to hear almost by happenstance at points, right? I mean, unless you're in the club and you're like in that trance state. 504, the whole thing feels good, nostalgic. I think greater melodic interest will make it really worthy of more plays. And I think this could be a new line entirely, something to sit on top, or just something playing call and response with the classic lines that are already in there. But just something more, I think. It's got a really nice, updated feel. It's moving quite well. Your palette is solid. Your production quality is solid. Your mix is great. Yeah, this is it. D says, technically speaking, I would normally do it differently, but in this case, it is important to give the listener the clear feeling that it is to the original. I hear you. I hear you. Excuse me. Very good energy. And it's kind of cool listening to something like that now, right? And thinking back, like, through the years, like, how we got here. All right, we are closing the queue here. Rosie G came in just in time. All right. So we got a few to get through here. Ludi says, in this case, it's difficult to reinterpret the track. Normally, I would approach things differently. There's currently a hype in the techno scene to reissue these old school Eurodance tracks. It seems to be important that the main synths are almost original. I love call and response techniques, but in this case, it would change the whole vibe. That's true. This is true. And, you know, to keep history intact, you know, sometimes a recreation is better than a reimagining. I feel you. A lot of tracks. Yeah, loving the techno today. Gaslight is up here. Mizio. Lights 10-6. Work in progress, just the way we like them. Yo, Gaslight, this is cool so far. I think I'd shave off some of the low frequencies on the kick, and I'd bring the low end cutoff up to 45 hertz, 12 dB per octave curve. And the ducking is a bit much for it all to be so equally distributed across the mix. What I would do is, instead of sending everything through that same compressor, I would send it through a few different compressors and offset the parameters on those compressors, right? So the ratio is different, so not all of them are ducking to the same degree, and that the threshold is different, so they're not engaging at the same loudness points. And it'll be subtle, but that difference across all of them will give you this much more organic appeal, and it'll feel like the sounds have been treated individually instead of en masse. And so therefore it's not going to have this kind of overbearing feeling with the up and down. Instead, it'll have a little bit more like push pull, which is really what you want, right? You want this kind of throb to like get people into this headspace, right? And really feel it in their body. Really good, impressive palette and changes when they come. I do think that volume mix is the next thing to work on after you get the ducking in line. I think that the the kick and the kick and bass balance is a little off. If we were to go back and listen to just one of these, just one moment in here. Can you hear how the low end is kind of stirring the rest of the mix whenever it's present? There's compression on the track, and the lowest frequencies in the mix are triggering the compressor into action. And the reason why that becomes a problem is because you start to kind of obfuscate the mix, right? You're no longer getting the clear and present output from the other instruments in the mix. They're not reaching the potential that you had previously set for them to reach, because your plugins aren't aware of what you're actually listening to. They just measure signal strength, and they don't even care what frequency the signal strength is coming from, right, in the spectrum. So when you have a big peak in the subfreaks, it's going to trigger your compression. It's going to bring everything down. So some things to consider. I do think that the volume mix is a little off, though, and to get it all sounding exactly right, I think you're probably going to need to audition a few different schemes, right? So maybe in one, you've got the kick 5 dB louder than you have in the next one, right? And maybe in that next one, you've got the bass down 3 dB instead of 7 dB, or something like that, right? So you're kind of trying to find just the right mix. And once you do, you're going to feel it, you're going to like it, and you can just stick with that and mix everything else around it. But there does need to be a little bit more change over time in volume across the board. So volume automation after you get your ducking stuff in line. Andremia says, if the vocal is being ducked too, I would leave the vocal out of the duck. It's like someone's talking to you, but they keep going super quiet, and you lean in to listen to what they're saying, and it feels like they're screaming when the duck comes out. Brit Boy is liking the track. Yeah, honestly, the sidechain is really going to help you kind of discover what your track really sounds like as you're hearing a greater potential and presence of each sound. So yeah, it makes me want to go to the club too. Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the next one. Steely is chatting strategy. Hopefully I'm not wrecking that name here. Let's see what this one's all about. I probably am butchering it. It's probably like a chaton. And me and my speak American over here, chatting. So if I have, I'm apologizing. All right, let's do this. We used to dye our hair in the garden.
We used to dye our hair in the garden while listening to German punk rock band. I look like a fool with my emo makeup on, but hey, you look so cool with your spiked piercing on. We used to sit and chat the whole night through, playing bass lines, just me and you. We know time was short till I have to go. We didn't care a lot about the rules to follow, and time went by so slowly. I still see your face so flawless. The place I found in your eyes stood in my mind. Now I realize that I fell for you, but I didn't say the words I wanted to speak that day. 16 years later, still get the picture. I miss the love that could never start.
Don't you say your goodbyes. Not yet.
Rode 2 hours bike and came up in sweat. You met me at the station right before I left. And weeks went by and I got your letter. The footage was written in big letters. I replied, this is off, never knew if you got it. End of the story, next I can only imagine. I still wonder what we could have been. And time went by so slowly. I still see your face so flawless. The place I found in your eyes stood in my mind. Now I realize I fell for you, but I didn't say the words I wanted to speak that day. 16 years later, I still get the picture. I miss a love that could never stop. I miss a love that could never stop. We used to dye your hair in the garden. We're listening to German punk rock band.
All right, got a few things here. Oh, where's my? There we go. All right, so a couple things. The drums feel just a little bit flat compared to the energy that's coming off the guitars and the vocals. So probably just a little bit of saturation on them to kind of enhance the energy in them. Just some overdrive, no gritty distortion. It does feel like the EQ and compression on the drums are just fine. The guitar quickly becomes dominant, which is the case for, power chords and big guitars in any music. When this happens, everything else in the mix needs to adjust. And this can be kind of a complicated thing. And there is some volume mixing to do in this. Loudness of individual elements is probably going to be the focus of the majority of your work on this track, if you're going to do more work on it. Or if this is just for other tracks in the future. Just consider the loudness of the individual elements in the mix the same way that a traditional rock band would consider the loudness of each one of their players on stage while performing, right? So when something steps up and starts to solo, everything else in the mix needs to come back. But it's not just volume change. Sometimes you see people actually shift position on the stage, right? And those types of things are happening for a reason. I think that if you spend a little bit of time on volume automation and making things coexist a little bit better, and listen with a really, really critical ear and ask yourself, does this sound need to be at this level? Or have I turned it up because it's somehow lacking in some quality, right, that I'm trying to make up for with loudness? And I would also really encourage you to listen to your stuff on different playback systems, because like this, for instance, these small metallic layered percussion sounds on the side, they're really nice and they're satisfying, and they're also a little loud in the mix, but I could easily see, or I know how easy it is for that type of stuff to be missed from one system to the next. So listening to it on a few different systems would be good. I think spending time on what loudness each individual element should be in each moment in the mix is important. That will help you dictate where the overall loudness mix goes with this track. And I would say back off of the limiting, the compression that you have at the end of your chain right now. It feels like it's being pushed to a more electronic standard, and it shouldn't be. And because of that, it's translating as a bit too bright or abrasive in the upper frequencies. Some of that is just because, these instruments weren't intended, they weren't engineered to be listened to at that level of force, loudness wise, right? So part of the nuance of those sounds is now at surface level with what is supposed to be the main attraction of that sound. So this is a little bit of a tricky one. I think you're going to need to back off the loudness first and rework your loudness mix, your volume mix, and just pay close attention to the individual elements. If you feel like an individual element needs more compression, do that on the sound itself rather than the entire mix to get it to pop. Yeah, and this might take a few tracks for you to really find the standard for yourself, right? You've got some original stuff happening in here. You've also got some stuff happening that's very much established, and you can listen to different artists and even bring in a track that is mixed very well, that you hope to aspire to achieve. You put that right into your project, in your DAW, and listen to it, right? Mute your track, listen to it, mute that track, listen to your track, right? And be really, really honest with yourself about what are the differences that I'm hearing here, right? And a lot of times, EQ and volume are going to be the two tools that you need to fix a lot of it. So this is good. Bix, the queue is shut. Let's see what time it is when we get down there. We've got 1, 2, 3 more by the time we get here. We might have time for another 1 or 2 after that. Race. All right. Shatona, I hope that this resonates with you and helps you make it even better. Reyes, let's do this. How you been? Happy Friday to you, by the way. How are things across the pond? This one's called Super Chill Stutter.
There are days I don't long to be
Dude, this is fun. I'd say the intro, which I really enjoyed right out the gates, it needs to last longer. I developed that for like 30 seconds and then bring in that first sample and then get into the mix. Personally, I mean, it doesn't need to, obviously, it's your track, but I really like it. And I feel like it sets a really nice mood. Roll the low end up a bit to quell the dissonance in those lowest frequencies that oscillate the slowest. So bring the cutoff up to 50 hertz, 12 dB per octave curve. And then after that, bring the bass down 5 dB, bring the subchannel down 4 dB, and listen with a critical ear and make sure that you're not overpowering the rest of your track with your low end. As soon as you bring that cutoff up a little bit, the perceived loudness of the entire low end is going to come up a bit. I really like the tonal appeal of this one myself. At 254, you've got tiny little hidden perks with some mallets back there, it sounds like. And it'd be great if both of those were brought up a little bit, thinned out, maybe just shave off just a little bit of the low frequencies, jack up the volume on them, and put them on opposite sides of the stereo field. I think they'd sound really neat. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for you. I like the EQ curve that you've got on this one. It's unique. I like the tuning of it. You know, I like that it catches people by surprise when things aren't auto-tuned. It's just really good stuff. Really good stuff. And I like the decisions that you're making. So don't listen to too much banter from us in the peanut gallery. Because you're definitely onto something here. And yeah, Grand Scroll Master, I would absolutely agree with the Bonobo comment here. Yeah. Grand Scroll Master also says, I think you could stretch the whole arrangement out like OhmLab for the beginning, but all throughout. Ah, so you feel like it's kind of rushing from section to section. Dave, Britboy in the chat, welcome in, by the way, Dave, is saying a little wide on the headphones. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I really like the organic and natural as possible approach personally, but that's just me. So, it's good. I want to hear more. Bring more. It's been a minute since we've gotten to hear new stuff from you. Titus, baby. Listen to this. Never Forget You Drill Remix. You are welcome. You are welcome, man. Hope it all vibes with you and helps make it better. All right, Titus, baby. Let's do this. Yo, Titus baby, this one's pretty good. Shiny metallic scrape there. There are a couple of sounds there that make me want to say you should have a high cut off of about 10K. It's a good track. Kick down a couple, vocal up a couple. 144, high on the found sounds, the high frequencies on the found sounds. The perks can be shelved a bit down. Just kind of tame the high frequencies there just a little bit. Watch sub frequencies on the sides and get your sub channel down 5 decibels. And it's going to be feeling a little bit better. The low end is a bit dominant, even for the genre. And I would do this last. I would set your high cutoff to around 10K, 12 dB per octave curve. And then if those found sounds feel just a little bit shiny still, tap them down just a little bit. Yeah, interplay between bass elements, piano arpeggios are cool. Absolutely. Jemia says, kick and bass be like, I'm alpha. Get out my way. You're not all important. That's good. I like that. Oh, yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Rose. This one's called Sleepwalking. Final, hopefully. I mean, maybe. Well, no, it says final V1. That's smart.
Trying not to think about you anymore. So tell me, baby, was I ever really yours? It's all bittersweet. Nah, it's been weeks without you here. Well, lucky me, you're in my dreams, and now I fear that I'm sleepwalking. I got my head in the clouds, and the sun don't shine on the other side. I shut my eyes just to feel alive. You got me sleep talking, but when there's no one around, and you waste my life for another night, I'm try to find some peace of mind. Yeah, I guess I never got a memo. Picking the petals or to skip the sentimentals. I'm walking a tightrope, I'm in a spiral now. I gave you everything you wanted. I'll read between the lines. Just tell me when it's over, 'cause I'm running out of time now. I'm sleepwalking, I got my head in the clouds, and the sun don't shine on the other side. I shut my eyes just to feel alive. You got me sleep talking, but when there's no one around, and you waste my life for another night, I'm try to find some peace of mind. Every part of me just wants to leave, but I'm still trapped inside this dream. I can't escape it. Feels like it's all a simulation, and my heart is on the line. No, it won't beat if you're the last thing that I see. My body's aching. It doesn't feel like I'm awake. Instead, I'm sleepwalking. I got my head in the clouds, and the sun don't shine on the other side. I shut my eyes just to feel alive. You got me sleep talking, but when there's no one around, and you waste my life for another night, I'm trying to find some peace of mind.
Yo, Rose, this is good. Sorry for coughing in the middle of your track. Cold is catching up with me. All right. Vocal is just a little bit dry in the verse. Feels better in the chorus. Oh man, my throat is really starting to tickle all of a sudden. All right, so this is really, I think the change in this track is really just about vocal, personally. Um, backing vocal. Oh man, this is exactly how it hit me on Wednesday too. Very, very sudden. Okay, we're gonna get through these last things here. It's better in the verse than it is in the chorus. I think it's because of the backing vocal and the reverb treatment that it's getting. That said, a little bit more reverb in the verse would probably feel good. And consider adding a little bit more backing vocal support with some ad-lib or phrase presence, right? There are some really cool stopping points. The only thing about those cool stopping points with the backing vocal is that there's so much low frequency presence in them. And it actually dominates, if you listen very closely, it dominates the low end of the main vocal. And that's a tricky one. That's a real tricky one. Unless you've also got some stuff pitched up or something, it's a hard one to pull off. Mostly just because the vocals run straight down the middle in a mix like this, right? Backing vocals oftentimes slightly offset, right? Keeping the lowest frequencies out of the sides is pretty important, and not weighting down the mix in any way with something that's supposed to be supportive, right? So if you are going to want like a little bit more low end vocal presence, you could add a little bit more to the main vocal, but I would shave a little bit off of that backing vocal. Low frequency. And then again, I would consider like maybe just A/B test, like get a couple more phrases in there from the backing vocal and see what you think it does to the rest of the mix. It could even just be individual words here and there. Really like the ones you've already got in there. Okay, so once that's done, the only other thing here is I think maybe just a touch more separation between instrumental mix and vocals at points. Some of this might be fixed, just kind of auto-magically by treating the vocals a bit more. And by dry up here, I just mean it probably needs like a little bit of saturation, a little bit of reverb, a little bit more reverb. Something tasteful on the saturation, overdrive. Really simple, nothing gritty. It'll make your stuff pop. And drum me, I'm not going to die. Don't worry. Man, I'll tell you what, though. It was like an hour and a half or so into the stream on Wednesday. I started getting like a little feeling in my throat, and then I got a sore throat by the end of it, which is why I popped a couple of cough drops on stream. And then it got worse. Like that night, it got so freaking bad. I thought, oh man, I've got freaking COVID again. And then I woke up feeling way more worse. My throat was completely raw. My head was just completely splitting open. It hurt so bad. Couldn't open my eyes. The light was just killing. Like it was awful. Had no voice. Absolutely awful. And by end of day, I was okay again. I was just unbelievable. Man. If you die, we're going to bring you back to life as a Teletubby. Oh my God, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? We have two more here that got added after the queue closed, but I kind of want to hear these. So, B-Punks, you're up first. Kids Now. That's what this one's called. Kids Now. Oh, hey now. Got stuff to look at on the screen here.
Right. Come on, Sarah here.
Halloween, the one night of the year when witches, goblins, and other creatures of the beyond are permitted to roam the earth.
Yo. Dude. This is cool. I like this. There's a couple of things. Here for you on the mix. Fireworks intro was cool, by the way. And am I wrong in the last little thing that we heard in that was actually like automatic gunfire? It sounded like it kind of morphed there at the end. Watch the resonance at 30 seconds with your sine-based synth there. It's pushing the resonance. 1 minute in, big lean-in moment here. Near silence is always a bold move, so kudos to you for going there. My biggest feedback of the whole thing is your vocals. They should be more on top. Saturate them with some overdrive. You don't need any kind of gritty distortion or anything. Saturate with some overdrive, add around 5 or 6 dB of perceived loudness, and that's it. And these screams in the background are great. It was all fireworks. Wow. Okay, so that last little brrr at the end was like, it really fit the vibe as you were slipping out. It was good. It was good. I would say keep everything else in your mix basically the same as it is, and don't listen to anyone that's telling you that the mix is all off. Yeah, sounds like that to me too. One of those happy accidents, I guess. Yeah, it's cool. It reminds me of the 90s. Like, it really does. It reminds me of some really great stuff that I loved for a very long time. And a lot of it has to do with the going against all the traditional rules and keeping stuff really raw and emotional, and that's what you've done here. So bring your vocals up a bit. Watch resonance. What I got for you today. Bring more by. And Dead King, Showcase. This one's Halloween 2023 Spooky Stream, 140 BPM.
You have no idea what's coming.
Cheers.
The king?
Yo, a little bit bright on the noise on that synth. Really great samples. Huge energy. Huge gobs of energy. Yeah, a bit sparkly up top, as Andremia says. Saf, you take care. But all in all, yeah, I'd say it's a whomping good time. Arrangement is really good. It's good sound design. Yeah, watch the noise. I mean, it's a whip, so it's only going to get louder and bigger, right? Back off that just a little bit. And also consider bringing your entire low-end cut up to 45 hertz. It feels like it might be just a touch lower than that, and you don't want that flub coming once the whole thing is mastered. So that's what I say. Easy one. All right, Star Beats. Star Beats. This image, by the way. Come on. Really? Man. Look at this thing. Look at those wings. And also, how big is this lady? Goddess, I'm assuming. All right, Star Beats. This is what I got for you. Snare down a couple. Shave off some low frequencies off the kick. It's a little flubby. It's got a little oof to it. Needs to be a little more knocky. Bring low end cutoff to 45 hertz, 12 dB per octave. That'll help. More mid range appeal in that bass, please. I think your bass is pretty good, but we just can't hear it very well. If we go back here, it's not all of the sounds. It's just some of them. And if you listen with a really critical ear, you're going to feel like, okay, this guy's right. He's not talking out his ass. There are a couple of spots here that don't stack up to the rest of these little things that are being strung together here. So two things. Find that bass, and it might just be as simple as adding a little bump in the mid frequencies at just the right spot. It might be a little bit more complicated, and you need a little bit of multiband compression. And then the other thing I would do is after that's all done, group all of those bass elements together and treat them with something that's going to help glue them together in the mix, right? Something that is going to be kind of consistent across all of them, whether they are sharing a very small reverb bubble that is then just kind of sizzled by a little bit of saturation or something that can bring them all into one unique space together. At 128, the lead is a bit sharp. Up to you how you deal with it, but I think on some systems it would probably bother people. So probably some sort of moving filter or something, or even a filter on the delivery of it, right? That opens up but doesn't open up quite to that same peak. At 158, I feel like the snare buildup seems like the wrong kind of buildup for this track. If we go back and listen to it here. I just feel like this is not it's like a house build or something. That just doesn't belong here. I think you want something a little bit more in line with the rest of the aesthetic. The snare is not a big prominent player in this thing. You've got a lot of cinematic kind of flair in this. Up to you what you put in there, but I think the snare is just a little bit off. Some kind of cool reversal might help in that. But I think if I was to keep it drums, if that buildup was to be drums still, I think I'd include some toms and get a little rhythmic build. I say toms because you can pan those easily to the sides and make this really big. Boom, ba-doo, 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 ba-doo. You know what I mean? Instead of just like all right, that's what I got for you. And Bix, dude, Bix thought they were going to be missed. Let's do this. Bix mix.
I found your box of clothes, yeah, it drove me crazy. Spending all my time thinking about you lately. Leaving me on red, how does that even happen? We'll look back on these days, I swear we'll both be laughing. Let you down when I lied, you're broken inside, but I'm still looking for answers. Sad songs in my mind on repeat every night. I wish I was, but I'm not. Giving you reasons to love me anymore. Should've done better for you, now you're gone, our trust is torn. Holding what's left of something beautiful. Memories are all I got, 'cause I'm not giving you reasons to love me anymore.
Now let me turn my side. You never even tried. Just let me on my flights. Why should I think you changed? Too many times I've cried. These tears have yet to dry. Each one another time you threw my heart away. Let me down when you lied. You broke me inside. So I'm done looking for answers. Sad songs in my mind on repeat every night. I wish you were, but you're not giving me reasons to love you anymore. Should've done better for me. Now I'm gone, our trust is torn. Erase all what's left of what was beautiful. Memories I soon forgot. 'Cause you're not giving me reasons to love you anymore.
Maybe I should've called. I know it's all my fault.
Now with another chance, there's no use trying to get.
Now I'm all out of reason.
Yo, solid mix. 1 minute in, a little more presence on the build up of the toms. I think it's a great transition overall. 128 seems like the vocal reverb is a touch boxy. 148 piano dragging a bit here. The bubbly ambient synth element is a little distracting there in the background. I'm not sure exactly the role it's fulfilling at such a low volume. It kind of makes me wonder if you come across a sound while you're thinking of stuff to add or searching for stuff to add, and you're not quite sure what you're wanting to put in there. So you grab something that's interesting, and then after a while, you're kind of like, I'm not sure if this is actually the best fit, so I'm just going to bring it way down. Does that sound like a pretty fair guess at the inner dialogue here? The reason why I ask is because some of the stuff feels like it has a pretty decent amount of intention behind it, and then some of the stuff feels kind of random, and I'm kind of wondering, not that there's anything wrong with randomly placed or selected sounds. I'm a fan, personally. But I'm just kind of wondering exactly how much of your sound palette is arrived at through just kind of random discovery and making it mix, making it work well. You know, someone who does that incredibly well in the community is Tremtize, and I'm constantly like finding myself eager to hear another one of his tracks because I have no idea what sounds he's going to pit against each other or pair in a mix, and I get a similar kind of vibe. And it looks like we got one more here. All right, we're going to listen to this one, and I think then we're just going to be wrapped here.
That's the motto. Throw back with no chaser, with no trouble. Up in that moment, baby, let's make some bubbles. Puffing on that gelato. Wanna be seeing double. Gotta do what you gotta believe it. We ain't got no plans to leave it. Tell all of your friends to be here. We ain't gonna sleep all weekend. Oh, you know, it's the motto. Pop a few pills and pop a few champagne bottles. Want that money like you just won the lotto. Whipping up all damn summer, making that bread and butter. Tell me this, I just had a
Hey, Bix, you know, this mix is actually really good, but your ducking is kind of restricting us to only hearing a couple of elements in the mix at big like swaths of time, mostly the kick and the bass. So I would absolutely say, in the timeout corner, I would absolutely say that this kind of falls into that same realm of feedback that I was given a few tracks back, which is spend a little bit of time by getting rid of the compressor that you've got all the ducking being managed by now, and set up individual compressors on these tracks of the elements that it actually makes sense to duck, right? You are going to touch the vocals, touch them minimally, and everything else just kind of keep in mind that nothing should be ducked to the same thing at the same rate all the time, right? So pick the thing that you want to duck the most and have that be the highest ratio, right? The thing you want minimally duck, set that at a really low ratio, right? And then set the thresholds at different spots so they kind of correspond a little bit more to the unique character and position of each sound in the track, right? Because what you don't want is something that's actually pretty darn important to be obfuscated continually. You know what I mean? Especially in such a rhythmic and predictable way, because it kind of deflates the energy for the listener. It doesn't like the hype, the energy and the level of hype in the music is still there, but it kind of deflates the energy in the listening experience, right? Because the listener can now predict what they're not going to be able to hear for basically the rest of the song. You know what I mean? So if you can allow more of the full potential of the more important sounds come through while still achieving a cool little rhythmic ducking, pumping effect, then this is a really solid. Yeah, I think that's what I got for you on this one. It's a good mix otherwise. You guys brought a lot of good stuff today. We ended up going over by an hour. Let's see who's streaming right now, and pass the party baton, shall we? See who is doing their thing right now. And I will say, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the other side of the weekend. Where should I take you? You know, it's Friday. It's Friday, and it looks like a couple of pretty solid musician streamers are just chatting. One is playing a simulator game. Let's get away from all that. I'm going to take you guys to some vinyl. I know we've gone to house a few times recently, but it seems like kind of the best option. Appreciate you guys. I hope you stay inspired throughout the weekend and have a chance to make something quite delicious for us to take part in next week. And we're going to put a new channel up on the Discord. I'd love for all of you to participate and let us know what you're struggling with, what your biggest questions are, what your biggest misunderstandings are in production. We will start to answer those questions at the top of our Friday feedback stream soon. More on that soon. Y'all have a good weekend. Peace out.